Ben Boychuk, you look dynamite.
Thank you. You sound great.
Do you hear me talking out there on Ben's thing?
I'm here, right here, right here. Hi.
Hmm.
It's kind of like having a party here.
We are, and everybody's invited. I want to welcome everybody to the world according to Ben Stein. I want to thank everybody that's listening to us on YouTube. We are honored and privileged. First, of course, let's welcome our amazing panel of people. First off, right off the bat, we'll go with seniority as far as age goes, and that's Larry Klayman.
Oh, Larry, you're older than I am.
The youngest man of the group. He is America's lawyer. He started Judicial Watch. Now he runs Freedom Watch, where you could actually sue people. And he also started something recently called America's Sheriff. He's an amazing person. He is America's lawyer. Larry Klayman, welcome back.
Thank you, Judah. Good to see you, Ben.
Nice to see you, sir.
And of course, back with us, we have libertarian extraordinaire, Hannah Cox. Welcome back to the program, Hannah. And of course, managing editor of American Greatness, Ben Boychuk. And
thank you for having me.
But not least, we have podcaster extraordinaire, antique collector, antique dealer, Remzo on the run, Martinez.
You make me sound like a 90-year-old cat lady. What the heck?
Remzo,
Okay.
you do have quite a few cats, and you.
That's not the point. That's not the
My
point,
wife has
Judah.
3 cats. How
Too
many
many.
cats
Too many.
Remzo, I didn't know this about you.
Yes, Remzo has cats. Anyways, to the point, we're going to go. We have a lot of people on the panel tonight. I want to get everybody's points on this. So first off, like I said, I want to welcome everybody that's listening. Remzo, during the next break, we'll tell everybody where they could find us. But first off, right now, the Democrat Party, I feel like their tagline should be, "I wish I knew how to quit you." And if people don't get that, that is a line from Brokeback Mountain. And the Democrats seemingly have impeached the president, which will take another 100 days into the first term of the Biden presidency. And they just can't quit him. They just can't quit him. Even when he's going to be gone, he's not going to be gone. And I think that's a horrific.
Because they don't have any other issues. They have no platform. They have no issues. They don't know what they're doing. The big problems in America are too politically incorrect for them to mention. I mean, the big problems in America have to do with America's non-white citizens, and they are afraid to say anything which could be conceivably construed as not sufficiently ass-kissing to them, and therefore they have nothing to say. You keep on criticizing Trump. They'll criticize him after he's dead. They won't stop it as being dead. I mean, why should they? He's a proven vote getter among certain sectors of the population. Why not criticize him forever?
Ben, the dirty little secret, though, is the Republicans want Trump gone too. The establishment Republicans.
I agree. But that is a truly idiotic idea, because then those Republicans have no issues either. I mean, the only person who really got into the guts of America and found out what the issues were was Trump, and now he's gone, or will be gone in a matter of hours, basically. And who's going to do anything? I mean, Democrats have no real plan, no real program, except to throw money around. It's just not a bad plan. I wish they'd throw some my way. But there's nobody has any plans for anything. Trump had plans. Now we've kicked him out. He's gone. Goodbye.
I would say they have no good faith plan. Their plan is to socialize and communize the country. And perhaps with all the commotion over impeaching Trump, people won't see what they're doing, at least in the first 100 days, and it may just be a camouflage for that.
Well, that's true, but what, Larry, if I may ask you, since you are right here in front of me, what would that mean, communizing the country? I mean, are they going to start slave labor camps in the extreme northern part of Alaska? What are they going to do?
My own personal opinion, then, is that we're already slaves to this government. And, let me get something out in front here, and then people can comment on it. Because the narrative in Washington, D.C., and I was writing a column before this coming on your show, is that it wasn't just a bunch of crazy people or super right-wing people or Antifa that revolted at the Capitol a week ago Wednesday. This was by and large the American people. They had had enough. And as I predicted in my book, It Takes a Revolution, which plays off of the prophecy of Thomas Jefferson, is that this revolution, which in effect we've entered into, is the result of government tyranny, of government breaking away from the people, representing its own interest, a bunch of clowns, court jesters, and criminals like we saw yesterday with regard to the impeachment. What a spectacle for not just this nation, but the rest of the world. And couple that with federal judges who don't represent the interests of the American people, but the vested interests that got them their jobs through political patronage, political campaign contributions, and frequently outright bribes. And we saw that in terms of even Trump's own judges, including Supreme Court justices, stabbing him.
You're going on too long. We have to let somebody else talk.
Okay. And on that note, let's get a Hannah Cox. And I know, Hannah, from reading your stuff, listen, none of us were advocating what happened in the Capitol. The other night, as I was driving back from the desert with Ben Stein, he read the whole transcript of the speech. And now we're here again with impeachment.
It's unbelievable.
I want
to hear from Hannah about Hannah. Sister, come on, sister. Let's chime in.
Listen, you know, I'm not the Trump fan in the group. I'm glad he's gone. I don't like the Democrats either. I think they're going to be a hot mess. I just think we have no good options. We've got no good leaders rising up. But at the end of the day, we've got more and more problems mounting. We've got a lot of things that we need to deal with. And I think that this impeachment thing is really just a charade. It's another way for them to fundraise. It's another way for them to take the eye off of the problems that a lot of them have created with the lockdowns, with the economic woes that they've created. You know, we've got really, really serious things. People are going hungry in this country right now. They can't get to work, and they're gonna have another impeachment. I don't think it makes any sense whatsoever.
No, it makes no sense at all. It makes no sense to you, Hannah, because you probably have an honest job and make an honest living. But to the politicians, it makes total sense. Keep whipping that poor Mr. Trump. Keep whipping him even after he dies. And you'll raise enough money to pay your bills and send your children to Princeton. That's it makes a lot of sense for them. Follow the money. Who was it? Was it Howard Baker that followed the money in the Watergate hearings? Follow the money. Goes into the Democrat fundraisers, goes out to the Princeton bursar.
Well, and here's the other thing, you know, we really do need to take the temperature down in the nation. I think that Larry's correct in saying the American people have had enough. We've been abused. We've been taken advantage of. We've had our liberties trod on decade after decade after decade. And now with the lockdowns and with the pandemic response, it's just really amplified everything. We need to take the temperature down. We need to quit pummeling each other. We need to really try to find ways that we can start to come together and have conversations again. Well, this is not an action that will do that.
Anna, with the greatest possible respect, and Remso and Ben and Larry and Judah, with all respect to all of you, what are the main problems in America right now? It's the crisis, the catastrophe of non-white citizens and partial families, and you're not allowed to say anything which seems to imply that there's any guilt involved in that, except for the white middle class or rich person. He or she caused all those problems. The black people cannot have caused a problem because they vote Democratic. You cannot say they caused any problems. They're Democrats.
I don't know, Ben. White people overwhelmingly voted for Biden. In fact, they were the one group of people in the United States that actually dropped for Trump by 15%.
It's still of the voters, potential voters, the huge majority of black voters went to Biden. Of white voters, the huge majority did not go to Biden. So if you're talking about majorities within groups within the black community, overwhelmingly the vote was for the Democrats. Overwhelmingly, the white vote was overwhelmingly for the Republicans. So yes, of course, there are lots of Republicans, whites who voted for Biden. I don't know why anyone would vote for him, but somebody did. And but the real bolts, the nuts and bolts of the Democratic Party is the non-white vote, and they cannot do anything to upset those people at all. They can't, and those people need to be addressed with respect and told that they have to pull themselves and their families together. The Democrats will never do it.
What
Well,
say
I think
you,
there's
Ben
real
Boychuk?
opportunity.
Oh, sorry.
I think there's real opportunity for Republicans, and I've done this kind of work. I worked for a free market think tank, and now I work in criminal justice reform. And what I find is when I go into communities that are non-traditional Republican right-wing voters, they're really interested in free market solutions. They're interested
it's
in
great.
approaches, but
It's
we've got to
great.
do the work. We've got to go and actually do the outreach,
I
and we've
agree.
failed. We've
God
failed
bless
a
you,
lot
Hannah.
of
You're
time.
totally right. You're totally right. But we're not doing the work. And if you want to go in there and do the work, I think it's fabulous. Bring along lots of other people with you, and pretty soon the country will be rolling.
And what say you, Ben Boychuk?
Back to my point, if I may, guys.
Okay, let me get Ben in first, Larry, then I'll let you get to your point.
Okay.
Maybe what I have to say will seg nicely into something that Larry will want to say, because I kind of want to amplify a remark that you made in passing, Larry, which is that, if the Republican Party establishment thinks that impeaching and removing Trump is going to get things back to sort of the status quo ante, they're sorely mistaken. There is a realignment underway in this country. So, for the 10 Republicans in the House who voted for impeachment on Wednesday, including the number 3 in the House, Representative Cheney, and for any senators who might be champing at the bit to vote to remove him, even retroactively, there's going to be a rude awakening for them. There was a story in the New York Times, I think it was today or yesterday, in which Mitch McConnell is saying that he's kind of glad this is all happening because it'll make it easier for the GOP to purge Trump. Well, that's as may be, but his supporters aren't going anywhere, and they are damn well not going to go back to supporting the policies that the Republicans were advancing before Trump came along.
But what are the policies of the Republican Party? I mean, I guess Larry's. I thought you and I were the same age, Larry. But I remember when the Republican Party was the party of the balanced budget. That was our big thing, the balanced budget. That's long ago past. Our big thing was military readiness. We were good about that. Trump was very, very good about that. What else do we have? We've got school choice. That's a wonderful, 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 wonderful platform. What are we going to really push that, or do we have the guts to push that in the face of the teachers unions opposition and people saying it's racist? Do we have the guts to push that? If we do, we're way ahead of the game.
Larry Klayman.
Bottom line is, guys, is that the Republican Party is dead. It's dead. Now, their rationale, I mean, even those who voted against impeachment, the majority of these Republican hacks, these Republican establishment hacks were, the president did something really bad, and he incited violence, but we can't impeach him because there's only 6 days left and we want to unite the country. This was the defense of the president by the Republicans. Now, the bottom line is this, is that conservatives, people of faith, and those who believe in the vision of our founding fathers have had it. We've had it with all 3 branches of government. We've had it with both political parties, and we are entering into a revolution. Now, I'm trying, in my own small way, in my book and what I do at Freedom Watch, to avoid that. But I believe that is inevitable, that we're going to enter into a bloody revolution. Let
us hope and pray that we don't, because war and blood are bad things.
Hannah Cox, I think what Hannah brought up is extremely a good point, because this doesn't really have, at this point, it's no longer about Trump. It's about us, the American citizen, right? So they're going after the president right now. They're coming after us next. Okay. This isn't about Donald Trump anymore. This is about us and our safety, our free speech. And, the only people we could change, Remzo, as we brought up the other night, are ourselves.
I think that's a great point.
I don't know if we can even do that, but go ahead.
Well, we always say politics flows downstream from culture. And the sad reality is we have a representative government, and to some extent they're operating based on how they perceive that we want them to. And I think that we continue to see this infighting and all of this kind of rabble rousing going on between the two to play to their bases, again, to fundraise, to try to stir up emotion among their constituents, because that breeds more support for them. And we've got this really, really terrible element. And Ben, I know you came up under Nixon and Reagan and some of these administrations, and I'd love to hear more about what the temperature was like during those times. But from my perception, as a 30-year-old, it wasn't like this this in the past. We were able to have disagreements, but we were able to work with each other and have conversations, and it wasn't so hateful. Right now, it is hard. The path that we're on, it feels like a collision course, and if we don't start to revert back and try to really start having conversations across the aisle, trying to actually find ways that we can and stop attacking each other. I agree with Larry. You know, it's hard to picture where this country goes next. It's nowhere good if we don't figure out an alternate pathway.
But wait a minute. Do you mean to tell me, Larry, who I believe where are you speaking to me from, sir? Are you here in Beverly Hills? Where are you, sir?
I don't usually disclose my my location.
Okay, fine. You don't disclose it. Okay, that's great. Well, I can tell you. Can you really imagine that there's going to be a violent war in Beverly Hills?
It was a movie.
Well, there were people in your lawn, Ben,
but not shooting at
wearing
us.
T-shirts. Eat the rich.
Saying, eat the rich.
They wanted to eat you, and they didn't mean it in a sexual sense. Excuse the pun.
And on that note, if you just tuned in, you are listening to The World According to Ben Stein. Something I wanted to bring up tonight. Larry, thank you always for the great visuals. This is a true story. Ben and I use a certain service, or Ben uses a service to order food quite often. And it has mates in the word. And when you go to order, it suggests that you order from African-American owned businesses.
Oh, God.
Now, on that note,
I hope that's a joke.
I'm not joking, Ben. And on that note, if you just tuned in, you are listening to The World According to Ben Stein. Remzo Martinez, please tell people where they could find us and a little, yes.
Well, I'd like to go ahead and bring up our first sponsor. In response to the app that has mates in it donating to Marxist causes, I'd like to go ahead and highlight our sponsor tonight with the question first. Do you know what gefilte fish is? I don't. But you know who does?
Jewish dish.
Exactly. I don't know, but the Jews know. This is why I want to go ahead and give a shout out to Jew mates. Jewish owners, Jewish food. Is the quality great? But is the value great? Absolutely. Jewmates.com, brought to you by Gina Friedman. As always, if you haven't subscribed to the show yet, please go ahead and hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode when we go live. And please, it costs you nothing, but it means everything does. A 5-star rating and review on iTunes helps this go everywhere, trend in those top charts, and get into the ears of millions of Americans. So please share it with your friends, share it with your families, your lovers, your enemies, the old boss you hate, the homeless person you accidentally hit the other day, the person ordering you your Jewmates meal, bringing them directly to your door.
What kind of
share the show all the time.
What's the sample? What's on the menu tonight?
I don't know, Judah. What do you have for lunch
today? We're having stuffed cabbage, and on that note, but we're having bagels and lox and cream cheese. And on that note, welcome everybody back to The World According to Ben Stein. We have a filled up panel tonight, but a panel full of brilliant minds. And I want to get to impeachment, but Hannah raised a good point, Ben. A great question to you, and I think both you and Larry, even Ben, who's studies history, the political climate now, what she brought up, is as such, and this is a two-pronged thing. So basically, in your day, people seem to have gotten along.
This is my day right now.
Right, but in the past, during the Nixon administration, as bad as it got, people still seem to cross the aisle.
I think there's a lot to that. I mean, I know my next door neighbor when I was a child was Carl Bernstein. He turned out to become a very famous journalist in the Watergate era. His sister, Mary, was a very, very close friend. I would say I knew her. I really knew a lot about that girl. She was a wonderful young woman. Gosh, none of us is very young right now. But anyway, but Carl and I were still friends all during Watergate. I never would have shared with him any secret or anything that was reflected badly on Mr. Nixon. But we were friends. We could talk across the aisle. I'm not sure that's true now. I mean, you have people like that nutcase Jake Tapper saying really, really, really nasty things to brave, wounded warriors. In a climate like that, I don't know what can be done. If the climate is really that sick, I'm not sure what can be done.
Larry?
And let me tell you a story, if I may. I don't want to take up everybody's time, but about Jake Tapper. Going back to the Republican convention, which nominated George W. Bush. I believe it was in Philadelphia. When I was running Judicial Watch, we had an event with donors outside of Independence Hall. And Jake comes by, he's working for Salon Magazine, and he was a young journalist. And I really didn't know him that well. And he wanted to come in. I said, Jake, you can't come in. This is a private event for Judicial Watch. He says, come on, Larry, I'm not like everybody else. I'm not like the other leftists. I'm moderate. You can trust me. Okay. Now, years later, when he finally, hits the big time, is working for Jeff Zucker, who name rhymes with something else, at CNN, all of a sudden he becomes this ultra-leftist, reactionary Trump hater. Jay Tapper has simply become a whore, like everybody else. He had to toe the line for Jeff Zucker. And he's not really that way, because I got to know him over the years. And this is the problem, is everybody's playing to their benefactor. They're not representing the American people. And that goes for our representatives too. And the American people know that. And consequently, what happened last Wednesday, a week ago Wednesday, was not a bunch of Antifa, vigilantes, right-wing lunatics. That was the American people by and large. And this is where we are headed if we don't arrest this cancerous decline in our body politic.
That's it. You know what, Larry, I got to tell you, you could leave now. You brought up such an exceptional point. No, seriously, it is. It's an exceptional point that people are beholden to their benefactors. Do they actually believe what they believe? And Ben Boychuk, I'll ask you that question. You get tons of articles written by people a day. And what are your thoughts on that?
Well, first, I want to commend Hannah for not breaking during that bit a few minutes ago. Well done, because I was dying over here.
I don't think I got it.
For legal purposes, I hope nobody does.
Well, so to answer your question, yeah, I'm actually surprised, Larry, that you let him in the room. The one thing
I never let him in. I didn't let him in.
But you stay out. Did you trust him though? At some point, did you get to trust him?
I didn't trust him. I just thought he was a genuine liberal. I don't use the word liberal anymore. Leftist is more appropriate.
Now, I one of the first things I learned as a young journalist, and I was working for David Horowitz at the time at the Center for the Study of Popular Culture, is never trust journalists. They're just because they will burn you. They will not me.
John Didion has a very good essay about that. They're always lying, always. Although I want to say, when Carl Bernstein interviewed me at some considerable length for his book about Nixon's last days in office, I don't think he broke a single promise to me about what he would write, what he would not write. I think he was quite heads up about it. He later wrote a book about his life in which he kind of took some knocks at me, but not terribly hard knocks. And I have to say, I totally disagree with almost every word he says, but I found him to be a person whose word could be trusted.
Can I ask you something about Bernstein though? Because Bernstein, especially in the past 4 years, but even before then, like during Bush, basically anytime a Republican has been in office since Nixon, somebody put together like a collage or a supercut of Bernstein statements since Trump's been in office. And I think he said a dozen times, at least over the past 4 years, this is worse than Watergate. This is worse than Watergate. This is worse than Watergate. At some point, it doesn't mean anything anymore. How long are you going to dine out on the Watergate affair?
As long as you can. Andy Warhol, no slouch at self-promotion, said, art is what you can get away with. And I think so is journalism. Journalism in modern life is what you can get away with. So good for Carl for getting away with it and paying his bills and being an honest taxpayer, and good for him for doing it. I do not like the fact that he criticized so bitterly Mr. Nixon and Mrs. Nixon. I think they're the best people that ever lived on this earth, except for my wife. But Carl, as I say, in my dealings with him, I found him to be quite honest and forthright. And there are lots who aren't. And even the ones who are very sneering and nasty towards the ordinary American. The contempt that people in high places in journalism, so-called journalism, have for the ordinary working man or woman is just breathtaking.
By the way, Hannah, I want to bring up an interesting point. So you brought up, and Remzo's of the philosophy of no more presidents, and all the wars would end, and we would be one united world under God. And but you brought up a great point that you're not a fan of Trump, and we're not kicking you off the panel. You're welcome back anytime. But where else is that happening? Where else does that ceases to exist now in other places where you could be a libertarian? ceases. I'm sorry. And so Hannah, we are trying to do that, but where else could that happen, Hannah?
Yeah, and I think that's a really great question. And it ties into what Larry was saying. As somebody who works in the media, my primary work is in criminal justice reform, but I do a lot of media work. And finding places to fit as a libertarian has been rough for the past 4 years. We are a little bit politically homeless. We used to kind of fit more comfortably into the Republican Party. That's been a little bit ostracized in recent years. But I appreciate, I always appreciate people who are open to having conversations, hearing different perspectives. And I think that one thing that's really hurting us in the media is, and I'm a supporter of the free market. I love the free market, but we need to realize what's at play with the media, right? They want to sell, they want clicks, they want to drive their base to continue 24/7 news coverage. And so what you find is that these news outlets continuously play to the very extremist kind of fringes of both parties, when really I think most Americans are more kind of in this like center area. I don't think that most Americans feel very well represented by their government on either side. And I work with a lot of Democrats on criminal justice reform. And I got to tell you, they hate the Democratic Party as much as, I might hate the Republican Party and have issues on my side. They've got those issues too. And I think it really comes down to the fact that we're not, any of us, getting great options. We're not getting a lot of choice in who we have representing us.
Hannah, what kind of option do you want? I mean, we have, here's the problem with America right now. And America is the best place in the world. And LA is the best place in America. But, okay, here's the problem.
I'll let that one go.
Young Black children, they never knew their father. Their mother's out working all day trying to support them, and they're where the kids are left alone a large part of the time. Or the mother perhaps is unable to work and is not in good health. They're all by themselves. They're trying to fend for themselves. They have no friends. A gang comes along and says, "We'll make you a man. We'll make you part of our gang." And but you have to rob a convenience store to become a member of the gang. So that's the problem with America. They don't learn anything. Their teachers may try their best. I'm sure the teachers really, really are trying. They can't teach them anything. The kids are in terrible shape. And this is more and more and more of the student body of America. The student body of America is now so largely non-white and only single parents in the family. It's a catastrophe rolling like a tsunami across the American landscape.
Well, I want to have Hannah respond to that.
You're right that, largely we do have children of color who are trapped in our failing government schools, and I see that as a huge problem. You brought up school choice earlier. I don't have kids. I don't particularly want kids, but I consider school choice one of the top issues in our country that I care about the very most, because we have got to get new opportunities for people. And when they're stuck in these cycles of poverty, when they're stuck in failing government schools, when they're stuck in these environments, we see these cycles continue to repeat themselves. I think school choice has the opportunity to actually start to break some of those binds that I think are intentional by the federal government and the Department of Education that have been meant to entrap and enslave people in these institutions. And if we could get that, fund those students instead of those institutions, let those parents decide. I'm telling you, this is an issue I worked on in Memphis, in Tennessee, and those families are desperate for it. They understand that this is an institution that's holding them back. They know if they get their kids out of those schools, it will open up opportunity. It will get them away from the crime.
That's a great idea. It's a great idea.
Great idea. We've got to
who's
all
standing
push
in the
for
way?
it.
Who's standing in the way? The teachers union, fighting tooth and nail.
The teachers unions
you brought up the teachers unions are a massive and I'm not against unions, Ben Stein, and I know you're not either, but the teachers union has a real stronghold on it, as we see in LA right now. Larry Clayman, what are your thoughts on this quickly before we go to break?
Well, I want to go back to what Hannah said, which I think is important, and I'm not plugging my book, but the subtitle is.
Did you write a book?
Yeah, I wrote a book. I wrote the Bible, Ben. I didn't know if you knew that, but it was Larry Klayman's manifesto. But the subtitle is "Forget the Scandal Industry," because as Hannah was saying, they're whipping up fear, they're whipping up hatred. And I'm talking about Fox News, I'm talking about MSNBC, I'm talking about CNN, of all political stripes and persuasions. We have death charts every day that we got to watch of people dying. People are propagating this image. Let's just talk about LA, for instance, in California. They're saying that 20% of all the people here have COVID-19.
That's just such a big fat lie. It's insane.
That is a lie. It's only about 2%. Now, maybe 20% people had it and no longer have it. but it is a lie. Okay, it's to control us. And these networks, and Fox News is one of the worst defenders. Fox News is dead along with the Republican Party. They no longer represent conservatives, people of faith, or people who believe in the vision of our founding fathers. They're in it for money, and they're turning increasingly left. But they're scaring the hell out of people because it boosts ratings, it boosts advertising dollars, and they put these clowns on at night, like Sean Hannity.
I love him. I love Hannity. Don't say anything bad about him. I love him.
Okay, well, why do you love him?
He says the truth. He smacks the Democrats around. I like that.
How many times can you say the same truth every single night before you lose credibility?
A hell of a lot of times.
Okay. Well, you're entitled to your view. I have found him, I've dealt with him over the years. I've found him to be a very dishonest person from a personal perspective.
And that's what makes us fun here. We are allowed to disagree with each other. And on that note, if you just tuned in, you are listening to The World According to Ben Stein. We have a fun-filled panel tonight. And Remzo, please tell people where they could find us. But again, with the Postmates.
Tell us where we can get that Jewish food off the Jew-Mates menu.
Jewmates.com. But we have our other sponsor tonight in response to the Postmates debacle. For far too long, vertically challenged Americans have had the run of the land in this vertically preferred society we live in. Yes, I'm talking about the little people who have been looked down upon for far too long. It's time to go ahead and empower that midget lives matter. That's why we're going ahead and we're proud to announce our another sponsor tonight, Midgets Are Us. It's basically the same things you get at Target, except it's made exclusively by midgets. MidgetsReUs.com. Why go high when you can go short? Oh, and we're on iTunes too.
I like it.
And on that note, welcome back to
and Hannah still plays it cool.
Welcome back to The World According to Ben Stein. Hannah Cox is mortified.
Where am
I? by her fellow libertarian Remzo Martinez. But I want to get to something a little bit. First of all, Rock Breath is a huge supporter of this show. He helps us out a great deal. So I want to say hello to his mother-in-law, Mary Fiato, who's listening to for the first time tonight. So Rock Breath, you rock. And yes, that really is his name, but his mother-in-law or mother has a more complicated name. So thank you, Rock Breath. But on that note, Hannah, you brought up a great point about criminal justice reform and criminal justice. So right now, we have two lawyers in this panel. But you know, for a long time, people haven't been able to get legal representation, adequate legal representation. But right now we have the President of the United States who's not able to get adequate legal representation because every single lawyer has decided, and every single person has decided to abandon ship. So gratefully tonight, we have two people who have decided to offer up their services to the President of the United States, and that being Larry Klayman and Benjamin Jeremy Stein, have agreed to march on Washington and sit in on that impeachment.
I'm not going to march. I'm going to fly there.
You're going to
It's quite a long walk.
First class, but he'll be
absolutely.
So
And
the first time I met Ben.
What?
First time I met Ben was in Washington Dulles Airport. It was a number of years ago. A great event. He became a very good friend. He's an excellent person.
God bless you. We're about to represent the president.
I remember you had somebody who took you to the airport. Who was getting you a couple hot dogs, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and he said, "I can't eat all these hot dogs before I go on the plane. What am I going to do with them?" And then he said, "I know what I'll do. I'll throw one of them out the window." Okay, so in any event, you know, I think we need a little humor these days. But seriously, with what Judah's saying about representing the president, true to form, people like to back a winner. The president's now, in the minds of some, a loser. I don't believe he is a loser, neither do you. But even his prior lawyers that defended him in the first impeachment trial, Jay Sekulow and Pam Bondi, you know, the former Attorney General of Florida, have jumped ship.
And Cipollini or however you
pronounce it. Wait, Larry. They've now done what?
They're refusing to represent him, according to reports today.
Why would they? Well, Judah mentioned something about this as we were getting our makeup on for the show. Why would they do that? Why would any lawyer turn down a paying customer?
who said they're going to be paid. There was also a report today that Giuliani's not going to pay, that Trump's not going to pay Giuliani. Okay. In fact, Trump, from what I understand, people that know him say he frequently doesn't pay his bills.
Giuliani wanted $20,000 a day. Is he
And by
also
the way-
delivering bricks of cocaine while he's at it?
No. I'm afraid that's true. Lawyers get paid quite a lot, and especially lawyers at a very high level. But if Mr. Trump can meet our fee, Larry, you and I will represent him, right?
I'd be proud to represent him. So would you, Ben? And we're loyal people. You know, if my clients, I don't abandon my clients. I believe in them. If they are honest with me and straightforward, and I believe in their cause, I will go to the very end of the earth for them.
Well, I don't know what is Trump charged with that we would have to defend. The charges that he's a son of a bitch, and we will just say, oh, he's not a son of a bitch.
Well, they're saying, what is it? Insurrection? They're impeaching him.
Well, there was no insurrection. I defy you to show me a thing.
Well, that's my point, Ben.
Incitement.
Sorry, Ben Boychuk?
Incitement. So
Incitement to
that's what he
what?
was impeached for. Well, yes, of course. I mean, he didn't. We know he didn't. There was no incitement. This is media-driven horseshit. But you know, to the point about his lawyers, there was a report today, and I hope it's true, but I don't know if it's true or not. But I read today that John Eastman, who I mentioned on the show the other night, who just quote unquote retired from Chapman University Law School, he might be representing the president, which would be great because John's a good guy.
John is a good guy. I agree.
We'll get him somebody to represent him. He's got a great case. He didn't do anything wrong. There's no evidence he did anything wrong. He's got a great case.
What's the famous line? Success is failures and orphans. Success as many fathers.
No, failures and orphans. Success as many fathers. We're going to go. If he pays us, now that's the free enterprise system. If he pays us our usual fee, we're going to represent him, and we're going to make Nancy Pelosi wish she were somebody else.
And by the way, Ben's usual fee is 5 boxes of Fig Newtons and a 12-pack of and as many Diet Cokes as he could possibly have, and some tea. Larry's fee, on the other hand, is you have to mention his book 10 times during the impeachment trial.
I think Ben also likes ahi tuna, so I think maybe we could throw that in.
And Hannah, the reason I bring this up is who would have ever thought that the president of the United States wouldn't be able to get adequate.
If he's willing to pay, he'll get plenty of lawyers.
And no law firms losing. I mean,
Sir,
this is
with the greatest respect. I don't believe that. There are tens of thousands of law firms. All he needs is one good one, and he's got it all set.
Sorry,
but I think it's important to remember there is a real push in this country, and this is long before anything around Trump. There's a real push in this country to demonize defense attorneys, to demonize people getting attorneys, to say that certain people aren't deserving of attorneys. Certain people are so bad they shouldn't have representation, that people shouldn't represent them. I see this all the time in my work, and I think it's absolutely anti-American. It's anti-constitutional. It goes against every founding belief that we have. I don't care what a person is accused of. They deserve representation to stand before an overreaching, more powerful government and defend them. And so I find that really frightening as a whole. And I find that sentiment to be prevalent and something we got to push back against. You know, even it's easy to defend people you like. That's not what we have the Constitution and due process for. We have these rules for people we don't like and for people who have done things wrong to ensure that we still act justly and fairly. So I'm hot under the collar about that.
I'm ready.
I wish things were the way you say they are, but unfortunately lawyers, and Ben, I think, can appreciate this. They put their own interests first. There's an old saying, never go to jail with your client. And what we saw during the entire election fraud saga, and there was election fraud, there's no doubt about it, were the lawyers who were representing Trump quit because their law firms forced them to quit because they were losing other clients. They don't have the courage of their convictions.
I don't have any other clients.
Right, but you know, Ben, not to make you sound like too Pollyannish, but remember, law firms are scared to death right now of the cancel culture, of woke culture.
I don't have anybody to cancel me.
No. But you said no. But Ben, you said before there are thousands of lawyers that would defend him. There aren't. just like before the show, and I'll ask this to everybody, right? So on Fox News, I haven't watched since election night. There's basically their biggest donor, their biggest client is Mike Lindell from My Pillow, right?
Yeah, great pillow.
Excluding My Pillow, can you name me conservative companies that could support a network that
Hannah
aren't
loves
scared
the My Pillow guy.
What?
Hannah loves the My Pillow guy.
It's good to know you have a crush on Mike Lindell. But Ben, there aren't a ton of companies that are willing to sacrifice a big part of their business for us or for one person.
Well, that's because you're not talking to the right ones. There are ones who have great big cojones who will go and fight.
You and Larry Klayman.
Power to
Mike Lindell
Judah
has
people right on.
Mike Lindell has diversified. He now has dog beds. He has Egyptian sheets. The guy's everywhere. He's a brilliant marketer. There's no question about it.
He is truly everywhere.
Yeah, he is one of the few people that has
Everywhere.
courage and will stand behind people.
And just so everybody knows, the reason
Larry,
why
let's get ready to go. Let's pack up our briefcases, get the rules of federal civil procedure. Let's go.
Remzo's going to pick us up at the airport.
And tell the president we're representing him whether he likes it or not. But he finally needs good legal representation, because one of his weak points in the last several years is that he chooses everybody that he sees on Fox News. And I'll tell you a funny story. Okay. The delicatessen Nate and Al in Beverly Hills, very famous delicatessen, when Larry King, who used to eat there every morning, and I used to go there too, and they call me the good Larry, they call him the bad Larry. And so he was getting divorced. People thought he was going to get divorced because his seventh wife, one short of Henry VIII, was cheating apparently with the gym instructor. And so I asked Gloria Allred, who I know, and even though we're ideologically different, Gloria's a friend, I said, why isn't he getting a divorce? And she said, because he's got the worst prenuptial agreement ever written. I said, well, how does that happen? How does somebody like Larry King have the worst prenuptial agreement ever written? He says, because he chose his lawyer at Nate Now. He does everything at Nate Now, right? Well, that's the same thing for the president. Everybody that he surrounded himself with, for the most part, came out of Fox News. And unfortunately, most of them don't know what they're talking about or what they're doing. So maybe we can just barge in and say, hey, at least I can't get on Fox News anymore because my views are not acceptable. They're not part of the politically correct culture over there. So, hey, I'm not with Fox News, so hire Larry Klayman. I'll do it for free. Gratis.
Okay. Ben Boychuk.
I have a question for you, Larry, and for you, Ben. If you were to represent the president, and if this thing does go to trial before the Senate, what would you say if the very first thing you did was make, Chief Justice Roberts, with all due respect, we would like to motion to dismiss this trial since the president is no longer in office, and secondarily, it's a farce. But what do you make of the idea that a federal official, a former federal official, can be removed retroactively?
You asked Larry Klayman first, so I will let Larry answer. Larry?
I think it's a non-starter. It's unconstitutional. On the other, just to answer the quick question, I'll turn it over to Ben. Don't bother asking Chief Justice Roberts to dismiss anything. I mean, this guy is an establishment political hack. We know that.
Well, but he's the Chief Justice is presiding over the Senate trial, right? So he's the one you would.
That's Larry's opening statement.
I would say, Mr. Chief Justice, sir, with the greatest possible respect, there's not one word in the Constitution of the United States providing for the impeachment of people who are not in office. So that's may we first, before we go for any further, get a ruling on that, sir.
And he won't give you one because he doesn't have any guts.
If he doesn't give us one, and then we move to dismiss on the grounds that the judge is not competent and that needs to be removed.
Well, that actually, so this is a point of controversy, right? Because there's a lot of scholarship on this. Some say it can be done, some say it can't be done. And so if the Senate voted to remove, then would you want to take a case to the Supreme Court? and
No,
say
there's
this was
there's no case, sir, with the greatest possible.
I don't know, Ben. I'm just asking.
There's no longer a case if he's not in office. There's no longer a case. I mean, it's a publicity stunt, and there's no case. There's no law. There's no legal case there. It's a publicity stunt. They can take it to a Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey circus or whatever circus is still available.
Well, that's where they are.
Isn't it a live constitutional question, though?
I don't think it's even alive. I mean, if this gentleman, Mr. Trump, is no longer in office, he can't be impeached. That's it. Garnished.
All right, good
You
enough.
can't take it to the Supreme Court because the Supreme Court is sitting there in the form of Chief Justice Roberts during the trial. They're not going to take
Well,
a look
one
at
of
this.
them, but you know, Clarence Thomas might have something different to say about it.
He will say
Might have
he's a
something to
great
say
justice.
about it.
He will say there's no case. Goodbye.
He is a great justice, and there's only two great justices or good justices on the Supreme Court, and that's Alito and Thomas. We saw what happened with the president's justices that he appointed and were confirmed that he was boasting about for years. Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Barrett. They stabbed him in the back. That was a really good case that the Attorney General of Texas brought. It deserved to be heard.
Yeah.
And this is the problem, and this is what Jefferson was saying. These people are unelected, unaccountable to the people. They become despots and tyrants. They become part of the crowd, of the establishment crowd, and they put their own interests first. And that's basically, in my experience of 43 years of being a lawyer, the way the overwhelming majority of lawyers are. They're not ideological like Ben and me. They don't believe in anything. They just believe in jingling the change. That's about it for the most part. And that's why Shakespeare said, figuratively speaking, kill all the lawyers, because they're a fundamental problem in our country and other countries.
Well, I don't think we want to
Capitol
begin our
Hill.
case by saying let's kill all the lawyers.
And on that note, if you just tuned in, you are listening to The World According to Ben Stein. Once again, hi to Rock Breast Mom, Mary Fiato. But also breaking news tonight, Ben Boychuk could report it for AM Greatness tomorrow. Larry Klayman and Ben Stein have offered up their services and their legal eagle experience to President Donald Trump in the impeachment trial, which is very exciting. We will all be there.
They have to pay us.
Fig Newtons and Diet Coke. And I was
my usual daily fee.
and
Stein's money.
And on that note, Remzo, please tell people where they could find us, or if you have another commercial announcement.
Scared. Please don't have another commercial announcement.
It's from My Pillow. No, he hasn't paid us yet. No, this is actually something near and dear to my heart because it reminds me of a very close friend of mine. You might know him from this show. Our sponsor for this half hour is Bald is Beautiful PAC. For far too long, many people have gone underrepresented in corporate America. We're now getting to ethnic minorities. We're now appointing like 2 to 3 women per board in the state of California, but that's not enough. Bald men have gone underrepresented enough. I therefore want to go ahead and give a special announcement from Bald is Beautiful PAC. We will have to force one bald person on every corporate board in America. That's Bald is Beautiful PAC, brought to you by benboychuk.com. Other than that, go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube, iTunes, wherever you can find us in Al Gore's amazing internet. Just leave us a review and share it with your friends and family and more.
I shave my head, you jackass.
You don't have to live a lie anymore.
And I want to welcome
Live your truth, Ben.
I want to welcome
Live your
everybody
truth.
back to The World According to Ben Stein. We have an amazing panel tonight, and I got to tell you, I'm actually enjoying myself. I'm having fun. I hope the people that are listening are having fun. And this is what I want to remind people, that we take this stuff really seriously, because for us, it is life or death. And what Hannah's brought up, and what I think everybody's brought up, is for the people that represent us, this isn't life or death. It's a show. And they don't go to bed at night worried about us. They don't go to bed at night thinking about us. They go to bed at night comfy, Hannah. We have to follow suit and enjoy our lives no matter what.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. You know, I was commenting the other day and I said, remember back when all the citizens were delinquent in their citizen duties and not paying attention to politics? That was so much better. Like, it was better then. And I'm half joking, but I mean, really, like it's, I entered politics as a job in 2016. I was in the music industry before that. I was having a great time. And then right as I entered, everybody just got consumed with politics and they're so focused on it. And for me, working in it, it's hard not to get totally eaten up with it. But if you just step back for a minute, step away from the computer, go about your life, go about your day, the world's not as bad as it feels when you're really singularly focused on this side of the world. The reality is that politics hurts people, and it hurts a lot of people. As a whole, though, I'm very fortunate. It doesn't really have a day-to-day impact on my life most of the time. I'm in it mostly because I want to fight for other people who I do think are more hurt by it more often. But I think ultimately we do have to find a way to still enjoy our lives, enjoy our country. As Ben said, we're still in the greatest country ever known to man. This is the best experiment that's ever been tried. We mess up time and time again, but we wake up and we keep trying, and that's what makes us great. That's what's always made us great, I think. And I'm proud to be part of the country. I'm proud to keep fighting, and I think we're going to come through this. But it is hard times. There's no
it is hard times in some ways. Look, I live in a very nice part of town. I don't know how much longer I can afford to live here, but for the time being, I get up in the morning, I go swimming in a very nice warm pool. I get up, take a shower, get dressed, go into my emails, have lunch with my wifey, one of the most wonderful, the most wonderful person in the world. Life's great. Then I look at the newspapers, and it looks to me like a fascist coup. It looks like Adolf Hitler is taking over America. So I just threw that newspaper away, and I go on with my life, and it's great.
Ben, just remember that the German Jews thought they had a great life too, and they thought they were German more than anything else. Remember what happened
It's
to
a very
them.
good point, Larry. It's a very good point, Larry. It's a very good point, Larry.
It is a good point. We have to be on guard. I mean, I think that's absolutely correct.
It's so funny you say that. I just moved into a new establishment, and I was putting up on my door today, in Judaism, what is a mezuzah? And it protects your house. But at the same time, I started thinking to myself in my head, well, I've just told everybody in the building a Jew lives here. And everybody likes to talk about systemic racism and all this stuff, but anti-Semitism.
It's not because you were ordering too many Jew mates.
No, it's because I wanted Jew mates to know where to deliver to. And,
Okay,
go to the door with the mezuzah. But anti-Semitism has been extremely on the rise in this country and around the world. And it's one of those things, it's not popular and it's not fun to talk about. And what I realized is, people don't realize the story of Passover was, the reason it was called Passover is because the Jews put a mark on their door so they'd be passed over and not killed. And I think a lot of people right now, me, myself, the reason I keep on wearing these shirts, Hannah and people, is because I feel like a target right now. I feel like because I haven't towed the party line or what they want me to say, what Larry brought up is we're next.
I hope and pray that's not true.
Well, let me add something which is not pleasant, but I can say it because I'm Jewish. Okay, I'm a Jewish Christian. I'm Messianic, but I feel very strongly about my Jewish background, and I'm a Zionist, and I would die for Israel as well as this country. But what is fomenting anti-Semitism, I think, in large part, is the Jewish left, and the Jewish left, along with other radical groups, are responsible in large part for where we are today. They tend to be Marxists, they tend to be socialists, and in some respects, communists. That's not the majority of the Jewish people. It's a very small minority, but they're very powerful. They're very smart. And these are the people that are going to be entering the White House, as they did with Obama, self-hating Jews, along with Biden and Kamala Harris. And this is, I think, they're the biggest threat to the Jewish people, a threat from within.
Absolutely right, and it's very unfortunate. I don't know how it happened, but here we had Donald Trump. Donald Trump and Richard Nixon were the two best friends the Jewish people ever had in the world. The Jews operated as energetically as they could to kick them both out and humiliate them. It's absolutely inexplicable, crazy. I don't understand it at all. To me, Donald Trump is a hero for what he did for Israel. Nixon, the greatest hero that ever lived for what he did for Israel. I don't understand how anyone can think anything different, but there are plenty of people who do, and maybe I'm wrong and they're right. But I will tell you, the Jewish people do not have a great record of picking friends.
I want to go next to the guy with the very bald skinned head, Ben Boychuk. I know he
Bald
wanted
is
to
beautiful, Judah. Bald is beautiful.
and I know he no, but Ben, it's a very scary time. You're out there right now in public. Yeah.
Is that a question?
No, but
They can
it is
tell
a
it's
question
him
because
because
I know
he's
you
bald.
live. I know you live in the mountains. You're in a
Yes.
secluded area.
I'm in a
but-
secure, undisclosed mountain enclave right now. And
Right.
so
But he sticks out because he's bald and he has Jew mates delivering to him. So
I always wear a hat. No, what's your question, Judah?
Now, my question to you is: are you living in fear right now?
No, no. I mean, well, first of all, I'm concerned. I'm concerned, and we talked about this a little bit on the Tuesday night show. I'm concerned about the rise in censorship and the unseemly enthusiasm for example, sedition prosecutions.
I have a quick question
That
for
worries me
Boychuk.
a little bit.
How many followers do the American Greatness page on Parler have?
Almost 60,000.
60,000 people who were just wiped out overnight online.
Correct.
Who that may have been the only place they were looking for you. Luckily, you have a Facebook page, you've got some other social media, but that was one of the larger followings.
Correct. Yeah, and we had a very nice, very good relationship with Parler. We were, we were getting great referrals from Parler. I wouldn't say that we were getting as a percentage of our traffic, it wasn't a huge amount, but it was a respectable amount. And and that's gone, and it was gone like that. So yeah, I don't like that. I am concerned about Facebook because we didn't spend money to build a following on Facebook like a lot of publications did in the past, because we knew that the algorithm could change overnight, and which it did in 2017. So we didn't go all in on Facebook, but we've got a good community of folks on Facebook, and that could go away overnight because they've been jerking us around with their fact checking, which is really not fact checking at all. And so I'm concerned about that, and I'm concerned about the possibilities of deplatforming, and I'm concerned about.
I mean, that word. I got to tell you something. That word, deplatforming. It should terrify everybody.
Yeah, because it could happen to anybody. I mean, because it really could happen to anybody. I mean, I think about this poor bastard down in Georgia who was general counsel for an insurance company who went to the Washington rally last week and was there. And I'm not sure if he went into the building or not, but he was one of these people who was identified and doxxed online, fired from his job, and killed himself.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's horrifying.
Yeah. And so, but that's the thing about doxing, Ben.
I don't even know what doxing
It
is.
means when they release all your private information online.
They say who you work for, where you live, what your phone
Wow.
number is,
Wow.
what your email address is.
That's incredible.
And the idea is, the idea is very simple and extremely dangerous, which is that
Horrible.
if you think the wrong stuff and you
Horrible.
don't toe the line and you say the wrong things,
It's
supposedly.
just so horrible. It's
is.
unbelievable.
Let me throw in this thought, guys, if I may. During World War II, we're using some German Nazi ideology metaphors tonight, or at least experiences. Who is it that put Hitler in power? Who is it that propped Hitler up? It was the German industrialists. The BMW cars that you drive, they were making Panzer tanks. The Leica cameras were making gun sights for soldiers in the war. We now have big tech propping up the ultra left. It's a full court press against conservatives, people of faith, and those who believe in the vision of our founding fathers. And there are a lot of analogies to what went on in pre-war Hitler Germany in terms of what's going on today, because these leftists are so radical. And remember that what Nazism was, it was National Socialism. That's what it was. And these people are taking total control of this country. And while you, Ben, I appreciate that you get up happy every day.
And I don't get up happy every day at all.
I try to get up happy, Ben, but then I think about where this country's going because we love this country and we are no longer in control of this country. It's been taken over by radical leftists and communists, and that's where
Ben
we
wakes
are
up
today.
every day, by the way, for the record, terrified. But he does two things that are, and I just want to share this with people. He does two things extremely important. He prays, and he calls me, or he goes swimming, or he does something to get his mind. But Ben wakes up terrified. Ben.
Yeah, but I would also say that I wake up with the world's best wife, so that's no small thing.
I asked you not to call me your wife, Ben. And if you just tuned in, we are going to go another segment.
I can't go another segment. I have to make dinner for my wife.
Can you give us 5 minutes, sir?
Yes, I can, and I would be glad to.
Thank you very much. And if you just tuned in, you are listening to The World According to Ben Stein. We will wrap it up then later, but I wanted to get to that. I want to get to quickly, Hannah. I know you've lost. I don't want to bring up other sites or stuff, but this idea of is there any recourse? And I want to ask everybody here against this, Larry, against this getting banned from sites. You mean like Parler lost its server? You know, I mean, how did they not have a lawyer in court, like Bren brings up, asking for, you know, a temporary
and permanent restrainer? Why was our side not lawyered up, for gosh sakes?
Yeah, I have a lot of questions.
Side not geared up for a fraudulent election because they've been sleeping. And actually, I have a case in front of me.
We said we thought they were going to be fraudulent. Trump said he thought they were going to be fraudulent. Why didn't they have lawyers ready to litigate it?
You're right. And it was Maria Bartiromo, I think, probably the only really sincere host on Fox News who asked Andy Biggs, congressman, as well as Rudy Giuliani, why did you get caught with your pants down? And he wasn't exactly talking about Sacha Baron Cohen's movie for it too.
Boy, Larry, Hannah had a question.
Oh my gosh. No, I think it's an open-ended question, but I really don't understand exactly what happened with Parler. I was off in the mountains having a nice hike last weekend and disengaging from social media. And I got a text from Remzo saying that it was going to go down. So I quickly posted, I had gained, I barely used Parler. I was on it for a couple of weeks. Remzo got me verified and I had 14,000 followers there. I had posted one of my YouTube videos for my podcast. I got 1.5 million views on Parler. So it was doing very well for me. And so I went there, said, make sure you follow my newsletter. And next thing I knew, it was gone. So I was under the impression it would just be going down temporarily and coming back, but it appears that's not the case. So I don't know.
Because again, they're having a hard time finding vendors. They're having a hard time finding people that'll serve their site, right? I mean, there's just so many things. Remzo, you could speak more.
And I haven't been working there for a month, and reporters are still calling me at 4 a.m. as if I do.
You're the only Parler person anybody's ever met.
Yeah,
basically.
May I ask a question? Why don't we do what the left would do? Why don't we ask our subscribers and followers to each chip in $20 or something? We'd raise enough money to get the thing moving at least a little bit.
Because Ben, okay, so Ben, this goes again. I own a company.
Yeah.
And if that company that works with 1,000 other companies decides to cater to this company, that company could then lose their 1,000 other clients. And that's what's going on right now.
Well, we really are in very deep trouble. And I think in that case, I'm going to spend all my time swimming and having French toast with my wife.
And we are running out of time. And I want to thank everybody. I actually had a lot of enjoyment tonight. I don't want to forget to plug Larry's book, It Takes a Revolution. Also, go check out his other book called Whores. Also, the Diaries of Essays of a Madman. Larry, you happy? You got all your plugs in. Ben will be on Bill O'Reilly on Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. on Newsmax. Ben Boychuk will be somewhere. And Hannah Cox.
Check out American Greatness at www.
No, I was gonna say that. Of course. It is a fabulous site, and check out spectator.org. But I do read both sites every day, American Spectator and American Greatness.
American Spectator, been with them for over 40 years.
And of course, you could check out Hannah Cox's newsletter, hannahcox.substack.com. I want to thank everybody that's been listening. Remzo, please tell people there to find us because there are many places.
Absolutely. You can find the World According to Ben Stein on Facebook, but please sign up for Ben's new newsletter, benstein.substack.com. That's benstein.substack.com. He sends out regular email weekly. We've got new threads and everything going on there, so you can join the conversation tonight. That's benstein.substack.com.
God bless you, sir. God bless
And
you.
it's really cool. Remzo, I got to give you props again. I got to give you you are the man. Remzo, you are just an incredible human. We are happy to have you on Jumate. That's
what I'm doing now. Since I'm still looking for work, I'm just delivering Jumate's meals.
And you provide an exceptional service. And I want to thank everybody again on the panel: Larry Klayman, Ben Boychuk from American Greatness, Hannah Cox, who's a social justice warrior, Remzo Martinez, who's always on the run. Catch his podcast. They are amazing. And of course, the world wouldn't be complete without America's humble servant, Benjamin Jeremy Stein. Ben Stein, we salute you. If you could sing us out with something tonight, because it's just how it has to end.
We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we are not afraid today. Power to the people.
The president's
Well done, Ben.
future lawyer.